I don't need to make the introduction. Dennis Hopper?
Monkey!
Thank you. Yep, I just saw the monkey. the... Ah, well. The Monkey. Made by the director of Longlegs. A movie that I haven't seen. I heard about it. I haven't seen it due to certain circumstances. I might see it when I get the chance. And also, that story is based on a short story made by Stephen King. I haven't read that short story, but in preparation for this vlog, I did wiki out of it in order to get some of the basic information. So, but I still knew that this is based on a Stephen King story. And I was open to that because there are some stories of Stephen King that I do like. I think I did talk about it years ago. And it's been a while since I've seen kind of like a Stephen King related story. And by the way, I'm not counting, It, by the way. Yeah, it technically is, but I'm just saying something that is kind of like out of the, It universe, for better, for worse, what you want to call it. I know the type of filmmaking that these kind of movies go, even though Stephen King is nowhere involved into this movie. It's just the story. And that story of the monkey, there is also I know that there's a movie. I forget the name. The Devil's Gift, I think it was called. The Devil's Gift. And I didn't know about the existence of that movie up until now, because when I was mentioning to a couple of friends about, I saw the monkey, and one of them they say, hey, remind me of this, remind me of that movie, and there's also this movie called The Devil's Gift, and I was like, and the Devil's, and you know what? I think I will watch it one of these days to see how it compares, because that one is also based on, the concept that we're watching. And so I was anticipating this movie ever since I saw the trailers. And like always, when there's a movie that I really, really anticipate, I try my best to not watch it anymore, or not watch any more trailers. I wanted to keep my expectations as well. I want to keep things kind of, surprised. This kind of brings my criticism that I think that it's better for trailers to not show too much. Let the audience, take a gamble and let them be surprised. And it's a good thing, because I was kind of a little bit in a down mood, in the sense that, for one, I am kind of a little bit of in a process that I want to take a break from all the bad news, the good news, and the news in general that always comes, in your phone and all this stuff. And I wanted to take myself a little bit of a break. And second of all, I have this stiff neck that I have it for a couple of days, and it's annoying, and I just wanted something that kind of, give me, it's kind of like a bit of a leisure time. Especially considering that the last movie I saw, Captain America and a Brave New World. See, I tried my best to not call him, what I called him last week. But anyway, I wanted to I was kind of like in a mood that I wanted to see something, and here he is, the monkey. I was anticipating. I sat on my chair. Then the monkey is one of the most insane movies I have ever seen this year. And we're just of February. We're almost ending February. And so far, that was insane. So insane that, you know what? For all the insanity that it had, it kept my attention. The funny thing is that after I watch the movie, like usually I want to compare my opinions to the other people. I saw some reviews of others, and most of the people, they were kind of like confused. They're kind of like confused in which they get it, but some of them they were like, it's okay, I like it, but I don't like it, but almost like everyone is kind of like confused. But for me personally, I just dug it. I dug this movie, and I am aware it has its flaws. But man. And one thing that I do agree with other reviewers is that this is basically a Final Destination movie. And we're going to have a Final Destination movie later this year. And that one I am anticipating also because I am one of those guys who got some kind of like an evil glee of enjoyment out of those Final Destination movies. I will tell you a little bit more when the time comes, but we're gonna concentrate on the monkey. This monkey. So let's get started let's get started. And funny thing, this is a little bit of a second take that I'm doing it because I made kind of like a big introduction that I would say is too long. Let's continue on. So let's go because man, this is insane. But I will say that I'm gonna try my best to not spoil too much about it. But so in the get go, I will say that it is a mid recommendation or a high recommendation depending on what you're looking for, or if you like Stephen King stories, but even though he's not involved into it. But warn you, it's very bloody and very gory, and a little bit kind of having this dark sense of humor. Let's go about it. So, okay, let's go. So, this is the basic prop. This is the basic premise. The basic premise is about these twin brothers who, during their childhood, they have their father who presumably ran away. It leaves their possessions, and one of the curious possessions is this toy monkey. It's basically kind of like this. It's kind of like the stuffed monkey, you know, with the stuff like a teddy bear. Also, a little bit bigger, kind of like a little bit the size of Spencer, as you can see, and. It has this drums, and it's a wind-up monkey that, you know, all these creepy that you have seen in symbols and all this stuff. Also, and this one has drums because, get this, and this is stupid and anger-inducing. Even in the original novel, the monkey had symbols, but unfortunately, those symbols, the copyright was taken by the also delightful Disney for their Toy Story 3, and they say, no, the monkey with symbols are mine. So they have to replace it with drums. Thanks, Disney. Okay. So basically, they get this monkey. It has some kind of like this tagline about, like, for example, say, well, that's life. And that's life, or I think that was that said that they, far I can remember, but also it said that you have to that if you want to see what this monkey do, just wind it up and and then there's only one way to find out. You want to know what it wants to do. But here's the thing: anytime this monkey winds up, and then at random times the monkey begins to play its drum like, and after that, some random people that you know will die. Will die in kind of like accidental but horrific ways. And it happens so much that to the point that it even affects the kid's mother. And from this point on, their lives go spiraling down into insanity. And then, of course, we jump kind of like years later, in which they basically just hide the monkey where nobody can ever see him. But then the monkey has a way to come out, and it started killing people. And then we center on one of the twins. Now the twins are played by Theo James, and basically, well, it kind of turns into kind of like this thriller in which the monkey is causing trouble and all that stuff. But because that monkey, well, is basically, from what I did tell you, it's basically a curse item. A curse item that you have to wind up the monkey play music, and then it kills off anyone. And it did not lie by saying that it's kind of like Final Destination in ways in which a lot of most of the kills happen in not only ridiculous ways, but also in kind of like this Rube Goldberg kind of way in which something happens, like for example, let's say like the lights kind of falls into the table, and somehow the table catches on fire, and then the fire let me try to think about it. The fire basically burns the rope that is connected to let's imagine that I did hang out an axe over there, and then the ropes are burned, and then the katana comes flying and then chops my head. It's like almost like a sadistic Wallace and Gromit contraption. But in the case of the monkey, man, I think I'm gonna leave a little bit about those kills for a moment, because like always, in my way to keep my mind in order, I know that the way I'm aware that the way I make my reviews is almost like a very strict way to talk of structure about it. It's something that is in my head, and sometimes I kind of have a problem to get rid of. But let's begin. For example, the characters and the actor, let's say. Like I say, Theo James plays a dual role as the brothers, Hal and Bill. Also, I give credit to the kid Christian Convery, who he had to play the younger versions of those kids. They're twins, and well, like most twin stories, they're not exactly kind of like it's always kind of saying that there's a good twin and a bad twin. In this case, let's say that it's more kind of also like a wussy twin and a very rude twin. Let's say it's well, for the sake of argument, let's call it the good twin and the bad twin. The good twin, Hal, is basically kind of like the main protagonist. And we've shown, that in the past, he's very meeky, very weak-willed. He's very nerdy, because of course he has the glasses, and he's always bullied by his brother, and not only bullied by his brother. He's bullied also by a gang of girls who are also bullies. That's how much of a wimp this kid is. And even when he's he grown into adult, he's still kind of like meeky. Although it kind of doesn't reflect his physique. And also when he grows up, he has kind of like this he kind of have this family relationship down in the dumps. He divorced his wife, and now he's gonna lose custody of his kid. I'll go with the kid later, but basically that's the character of this one. And then of course we got the other half, which is Bill, the other twin. He is basically the evil twin. He's rude. He's a jerk. He hates his brother. And of course, it kind of showcased that the relationship of these two brothers. They absolutely hate each other. They hate each other. One because he's so much of a bully, and the other one is because, well, he can't cut his crap, and he always insults him. It's kind of like the worst brotherhood that there is. And well, when the monkey comes into their lives, things get worse. Really, really gets worse. And of course, then comes it comes to when the monkey comes back to haunt them after 25 years. I'm not gonna reveal too much about it, but let's say that things get spiral out of control. Yeah, there are some other characters that you're gonna see. For example, the mother, the kids have, well, they live with the mother, of course, because the father basically kind of like run away from them. And believe it or not, the mother is played by Tatiana Maslany. The airhead who plays She-Hulk on that shit Disney Plus cartoon. And I gotta say that I hope that she gets other roles and she doesn't stick up with She-Hulk. Because yeah, She-Hulk sucked. She sucked as She-Hulk. But when you see her act in this movie, it kind of proves that it's not exactly the actor that should have been known for a role. And sometimes it happens. It's kind of like a karma thing and that consequence. Because she did very well in this one. And of course, in the minute that she's there, there's some other characters that are there. For example, there are some moments in which the acting can get cartoony. The director himself, Osgood Perkins, the way he got some aviator glasses that, I don't know, it kind of mystified me. Where he plays kind of like a small role, but he's there. There's the babysitter. There is this guy. I think he's played by Rohan Campbell, who basically kind of like this kid, the redneck kid. I don't know what to say, but he has kind of like the hair bangs that covers his face. You know what? Here's the thing. When I saw this guy, something popped out of my memory, and it was like, he looks like something that I just saw. And now it hit me. He looks like the rock guy from home movies. The guy with the long hair, with the hair that covers his eyes, from home movies. That's how he looks like. And there's what other character I can snuff out from here? Oh. It's a small role, but there is this actor named Nico Del Rio. He only appeared for one scene, and he plays kind of like a rookie priest, and it's the most awkward yet funny. But okay, the most awkward priest handling you could ever see. It's the most awkward servant you could ever see, and my God. What the thing? I'll get to that, by the way, about the tone. Oh yeah, and for a moment scene, we also see Elijah Woods. Elijah Woods, for some kind of, I don't know if he acting high or something like that. He's basically kind of like the stepfather of the kid, and he somehow act high. And finally, I'm gonna talk about the kid himself. The kid is played by Colin O'Brien, Petey. He's basically kind of like the kid. And here's the thing that I noticed about this kid. In this story, in which it's basically a typical Stephen King world. In a Stephen King movie, what you're gonna get in these kind of characters? Because my God, it's a Stephen King story, but Stephen King is not involved into it. But my God, this guy did manage to pick up the bingo book of Stephen King stuff and say, okay, this is something typical for Stephen King. This is a tradition of Stephen King. What Stephen King has to do. For starters, Maine. It takes place in Maine. And also, if you notice, Stephen King's stories, whether it's made from not one director or himself or anything, it's also pretty typical that it's full of jerks. A lot of even the protagonists, the people around, they're either kind of like a very jerk. They're jerks. Everyone is almost unlikable, and the people that are less unlikable, they are mostly because they're tormented people, or sometimes they're kind of like douche. It's almost like, well, I haven't seen exactly the movie, but I've seen clips of it. What was it? Stand By Me. That the protagonist kids, they're all jerks. Sometimes you can relate to them because of their problem, but that's kind of like the whole movie. The Monkey's no exception, in which there's kind of like this dark satirical characters that, dark way. It's kind of like unlikable, but still kind of like watchable. And going back to the kid, Petey, who is the son of a protagonist, he comes off as basically the most reasonable and the most likable of all of them. Because and this is, I appreciate it, because normally these kind of kids will come as the biggest douches. Take, for example, the kid from Red 1. The kid from Red 1, deadbeat father. He basically had problem with the kid, and well, the kid is like, I don't hate you, I hate your father, something like that. They have kind of like this attitude. The kid has a little bit of the same type of attitude, but it's not whiny, or it's not, how can I say, I hate your father, or something like that. He's more reasonable, and he's shown that he's a little bit smarter than any of the other characters, and I appreciate it. The kid is actually more likable than any other characters that you have seen. Considering that the story that we got, well, this is what we get. And now we're going with the fun part, well, because I now got over with the characters and the actors. And because it's time for me to talk about, well, the cinematography is fine. Although the pacing, I will say that it might turn off some people, because it's not exactly a long movie, but it kind of feels like it. Because, I mean, imagine this. First, we got the intro, and the intro is wackadoodle, but it tells you what the movie is gonna be. For starters, I've been hearing a lot of people complaining that, oh my God, the trailer is a lie, because because I gotta admit, the trailer does feel like it's gonna be a hard-on horror, but after the first scene, no, it kind of showcased that this is not that. It's gonna be a horror comedy. A dark horror comedy. And it shows. And you know what? You people should not complain. Because first of all, I like that. I like when a trailer fools you, because it's always a gamble. People say that, okay, trailers should tell you what you expect. And sometimes yes, but it feels more delightful when the trailer tells you something, and it gives you another, but while it keeps its promise, because at the end of the day, it did keep its promise. It's about a monkey. It's still horror. It's still horror, but it's more kind of like a comedic tone, and you should not be surprised, because it's a story based on Stephen King. Stephen King does have kind of like also a little bit of a dark a dark sense of humor and at least kind of like 40% of the stories, from what I can tell. I mean, haven't you seen where the one where haven't you seen his part in Creepshow? But yeah, after that introduction, then we get kind of like the 20 or 25 minutes of the whole prologue of when our main protagonists are kids. And then this is when we jump to adulthood. We see, of course, Theo James playing the deadbeat father as well as the other brother. And it kind of goes into this horror movie that, well, it kind of keeps its theme, but I will admit that because of the tone of the movie, that it went a little bit into dark comedy, it kind of becomes a little bit hard to relate to the situation, because, man, this is where I come up with the kill. The death scenes of this movie is some of the most wackadoosos that you could ever imagine. I did not exaggerate that it's a little bit like, like Final Destination, but imagine that. But the way people die, it's almost like very Looney Tune-esque ways. They're so Looney Toony and so exaggerated that in a way, it's almost like you're watching Kenny Dies from South Park. Because all these deaths, it's almost like, how the hell happened? I will reveal at least one of them and you'll get the idea, because that one, they don't show it exactly too much in the trailer. You know that in the trailer there's a scene in which I think an electric generator falls into a swimming pool, and there's this woman who decides to have kind of like this midnight swim, and she just decides to jump in. What the main character is like, no. Well, in your head, you'll see the woman like in real life happen, but no. What the trailer doesn't tell you is that when you see the movie, this woman, once she touches the water, she explodes. I'm not kidding, she explodes like... she explodes like an egg in a microwave. Because that's how electricity works. And that's not the only one. The only death where it explodes. There's one that is so cartoonish that involves bees, but I'm not gonna reveal exactly the details. You have to watch it because, my God, a lot of those death scenes, especially the initial the death scene in the hibachi, ladies and gentlemen, the sharpest kitchen knife ever. So, and of course that you can't take it seriously, mostly in the sense that we're dealing with kind of this situation that in which you have these brothers that have kind of like this trauma because of that monkey, and well, sometimes the death, well, there is an impact, but sometimes they kind of like okay, I'm spilled with blood. Jeez. And you know what? I do agree that this movie is not exactly scary, I'll say. Maybe for a younger generation, that might be scary because there's some moments in which, yeah, they kind of try hard, a little bit of a jump scare. One of them was come out with an orchestra string that it was kind of like useless, but thankfully it doesn't overstay its welcome. It kind of showcased that it's more kind of like a gore movie, and mostly it's kind of like the spectacle of it. And I will say that even the theme is not exactly kind of like that bad. I like a little bit kind of like the thematic, and I think that is also reflected on the short story, even though I haven't read it. But I think that kind of like the moral of the story is that even if it's kind of like a, even if you have losses in life, or you lose your father because they ran away, or someone gets killed by, well, the curse of a monkey. Sometimes it is good to, well, just accept it as it is because, well, that's life and what they say. And also, it's kind of a little bit hard considering that most of the deaths it comes from a curse item. But I get what they wanted to say. They wanted to say that, well, it also comes, into the fact that we have kind of like dark secrets, or sometimes things happen, and we and and we just kind of hold on just for the concept of losing their loss, their death, and all of that. And because you put these tragedies into yourself, sometimes, like in the case of our protagonist, the good twin Hal. He decides to, because of that, he just decides to ostracize himself from almost everyone, to the point that I don't know how in the world, because he managed to get a kid. And honestly, if there's a nitpick that I will say, is that there wasn't exactly kind of like established a relationship in which there was something healthy between him and Petey. Funny enough that the kid is named Petey, considering that we got another Petey in Dogman. But anyway, the guy kind of say that he loved the child, but it kind of almost never showed that too much about it. There is a caring, but not kind of like in the sense that there is kind of like a special bond. But I'm actually thankful that I will say that the relationship is much better than the one in Red One. Uh, 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 but I can tell that they wanted to showcase that moral that about how when you have kind of some kind of dark secrets or something like that, it can even affect others because you are not very honest with them. And also, this is just me coming up with with thematics, and well, I want to sound smarter. Let's say I don't want to be that kind of pretentious guy, but I'm just giving my thoughts about it, and you might agree, you might not agree. We're here to learn. Maybe I'll read the book and probably come up with my own conclusion. Well, it's not a book; it's a short story. I know that it's part of an anthology, and it's and well, it and well, and yeah, there is an interesting thematic, and I appreciate for what it is. It could have been handled worse, I'll say. Even though most of the time, I was me just saying, "Wow," with all these death scenes that happen, and then the ending. That ending was one of the funniest endings I have ever seen. I don't know how most people are gonna say. I don't know how professional reviewers are gonna say. But for me, that ending was super bonkers. It was kind of like hilarious. I will not. I will not have revealed what it is, but it was kind of like the best way I can describe it. If you have seen American Dad, and you know all these American Dad episodes where everything goes wrong, and the episode doesn't solve that thing that goes wrong. That's how the ending is. With cheerleaders. I forgot to mention that there are 2 or 3 scenes in which cheerleaders appear out of nowhere. And they're just like, hey! And why are cheerleaders cheering for nothing? I don't know. Not even the sirens are are gonna tell me what is happening. Well, okay, I know this is very common on my vlogs when those sirens come, but that ending was insane, totally insane. uh, when the movie ended, I decided to sit on my table on my seat to ponder. I wrote to my friends about my opinion about it. I watched the guy next to me. I'm sorry about the sirens. I saw the guy next to me, and he told me that was the craziest movie I ever seen. So I sat there, especially considering that now I made a creed that I'm gonna stay on after the credits. I'm gonna take the Japanese courtesy about that. You can't stand from your seat after before the credits. You have to stay on your seat until the credits end. And you know what? I didn't do it because what some people doesn't mention it is that after the credits end, we get the trailer of the next movie. I don't remember what it was, but we get the credit. We got the trailer of the next movie. Not a monkey sequel. The other movie, the one that Oscar Perkins is gonna talk. You know what? I'll see it right now. Which one is gonna be? It doesn't exactly say what is. It doesn't exactly say which one, but it's the next horror movie. He made the trailer of the next horror movie as a post-credit scene of the monkey. But you know what? I think I talked enough about it. I had a blast with that movie, and at least in the sixth sense. I do agree that. Oh yeah, I do agree that monkey's creepy. That and I gotta admit that I do have thrills about mostly how creepy that monkey is, but I know that the more I gotta say that, please people, spread it out. This monkey, I can tell that if it's done right, it can be iconic. I mean, although I seen that design of the monkey, but except with symbols, of course, in that movie, and of course, Toy Story 3. Thanks Disney for ruining everything. And but either way, I recommend it. I do recommend it. You might not like it. You might be confused, but be warned. This is no monkey business. You're gonna be laughing like a pair of monkeys. Hey, Dennis Hopper, take us away.
Monkey!